Hey everybody, back again to talk some more metal, and today I'm going to focus on 5 fairly recent Canadian releases. First one being a fairly high profile album. This is Songs of Blood and Mire by Spectral Wound. 2024 on Profound Lore Records. And they're a fairly big band in black metal right now, based out of Montreal. This is their 4th and most recent full-length album. We'll get back to that in a second. I also have the 2nd album, Infernal Decadence. And the 3rd one, A Diabolic Thirst. Which one do I like better out of all 3 of these albums? It's hard to say, really. I really find them pretty similar in both sound and quality. But Spectral Wound, what do they sound like? Pretty straightforward black metal, but I'd say it's like a simplified version of Old Emperor. A lot of dissection thrown in there. Newer influences like Magua. And of course the trademark Quebec black metal sound. Very professional, well played, good sound. And that's not always the marker of a great black metal album. A lot of times it's more like vibe and atmosphere that we're looking for. But I find this both furious and epic at the same time. Riffs are amazing. And just looking at the inner sleeve, just kind of shows you like what these guys are about. Like a black metal band posing with their instruments instead of just, standing in some woods or, in a basement somewhere. They're just based on making awesome songs. My favorite tracks on here are At Wine Dark Midnight, In the Moldering Halls, Aristocratic Suicidal Black Metal, which I think is probably their biggest song, at least right now, Less and Less Human, Oh Savage Spirit, and how can I forget the closer, 12 Moons in Hell. That's 4 of the 7 songs, but I like this album from top to bottom. They passed through town fairly recently, opening for 1349. I didn't make it to that show, but I'm not the biggest 1349 guy, but I forget who else was playing, but I think it was like 4 good bands. I should have went. So that's it for Spectral Wound. Gonna go to the other side of the country now with the self-titled album by Wormwitch. This was also released in 2024. It's their 4th album overall from this Vancouver-based band. So they seem labeled as crust punk influenced black metal, but it feels like a little bit more than that. Overall, it gives me the vibe of a very aggressive urban black metal. Starts off with some fast songs like Fugitive Serpent and Envenomed. I find those are like the weakest songs on the album, but it gets better as it goes. I personally like number 4, Inner War, and the closer, Draconic Sorceress Canadian Witch Knights. So this album's a real kick in the teeth. I'd probably give it a 7.5 out of 10, but I'll definitely check out their next album and maybe even dig into the back catalog a little bit. So, several videos ago, I discussed the band Gut Void. And I already talked about this album, but there are many associated acts with like the Gut Void family tree. The 2 main members being Brendan and Daniel, and we're going to be looking at a couple of their side projects. First one is Fathomless Ritual, Hymns for the Lesser God. So this is looked upon as a Demilich ripoff worship band. I'm sure the band would tell you the same thing. And by the way, this is the solo project of Brendan from Gut Void. I think he handles everything on this album. So I'm not a big Demilich guy. I know their album is a legendary part of death metal history, but I find the vocals, those extremely deep bullfrog vocals, they make an impression right away, but then I think they get a little old. And the riffs have always been a little bit too, not happy, but bouncy for me. So Fathomless Ritual are doing the same thing, which makes it not really my cup of tea, but I'm definitely glad to have this in my collection. I gotta say, this is a damn fine looking CD put out by Transcending Obscurity. My favorite track on here is probably number 5, Wielding the Bone Wand. And yeah, Demilich fans, check it out. Fathomless Ritual. That CD also came with hand-numbered card, a sticker, and I believe there was like a whole whack of download codes for Transcending Obscurity releases on there. So the way that Brendan handled Fathomless Ritual, the other main guy in Gut Void, Daniel, amongst other things, has this band called Fumes. Daniel handles everything except for the vocals, which is done by Brendan. And a very different vocal style, by the way. Not the Demilich thing, more of a classic death metal voice. So Fumes was formed in 2020. And they have put out a number of splits and singles, but no full-length album as of yet. Actually, it looks to me like, judging from their Metal Archives page, they have also signed to Transcending Obscurity, so I'm sure they'll be putting a full-length out on that label fairly soon. But this is a compilation from 2021, 5 songs put out on Morbid Chapel Records. And overall, I'd say this is old school death metal with touches of dissonant death metal, such as Gorguts, or maybe more recently, something like Ulcerate. And finally, we're going to look at an album by a band called Rest Haven. This is an independent release, and I got this in the Metalhead box a year or two ago, and it was sitting in my get to it when you can pile. And that time came this week. So I gave this about 3 spins, and I actually think it's pretty good. They're based out of Toronto, and their Bandcamp has them labeled as melodic death thrash. I've also seen the band refer to their music as having a lot of shoegaze influence. I personally don't hear a ton of thrash, death metal, or shoegaze in there. To me, it's more of a black metal influence, post-hardcore, with a lot of post-metal put in there. So pretty good overall, and my favorite tracks are Dystopolis and Prolly. Rest Haven, check it out. And that's it for me. See you on the next one. Thank you.